Thank you, Arvind. So I'll get started with my video. I shall be presenting our work titled Selective Endothelectomy in Peters Anomaly, acronym title SEPA, the long-term clinical outcomes in 34 eyes of 28 children with Peters Anomaly. None of the authors have any proprietary or commercial interests in any of the material discussed in this particular study. As we all know, Peters anomaly is the most common anterior segment developmental abnormality, presents with central or paracentral corneal opacification. It accounts for nearly 50% of the children born with corneal opacity. Bilaterality seen in two-thirds of the cases. Incidentally, it is also one of the most common indications for a corneal transplantation among congenital corneal opacity. This is a typical case of type 1 Peter anomaly with a posterior excavation, which is evident on an anterior segment OCT as well. In this particular instance, wider zone of cornea is involved. On UBM, you could actually see the perimeter of the corneal opacity having a synovial attachment, which is clearly evident on horizontal and vertical scans of the UBM. This is the typical case of keratoirodolenticular dysgenesis, where right and left eye of the same child, where left eye has a severe involvement with the cataract. While conservative approach applied in a milder variant of Peters anomaly, where surgical interventions are typically resolved in a severe cases of Peters anomaly, often have a abysmally poor outcome. While small subset of milder Peters anomaly tend to spontaneously recover over a time, but majority may not show a discernible clearing owing to presence of anomalous layer as shown in this particular slide. Histopathologically, the posterior defect filled with a uveal tissue and anomalous fetal membrane, as evidence in these histological slides. Perhaps this particular layer inhibits the normal endothelial migration, thereby preventing the spontaneous recovery. Based on our clinical as well as histopathological observation, we felt there is a focal area of anomalous Descemet's endothelial complex underlying the posterior defect, which perhaps serve as a contact inhibition. Once we remove those anomalous layer, the perilesional healthy endothelium tend to regenerate and fill the denuded area, lead to the resolution of the corneal edema. And also robust scar remodeling in children together with overlying well-preserved anterior stromal architecture helps in the rehabilitative journey of a child. We documented the postoperative healing response after SEPA using high-resolution anterior segment OCT. At 1 month postoperative follow-up, DM is not only well opposed, the endothelium was covering the defect, which is sharply demarcated. Together, clinically, we could actually perceive stroma is much more compact and transparent postoperatively. Our intent was to determine the functional success of SEPA in children with Peters anomaly. This was a single-center retrospective consecutive interventional case series. The study included 34 eyes of 28 children with visually significant Peters anomaly that had undergone a selective endothelial removal with or without additional procedure. The study was conducted at LV Prasad Eye Institute, Hyderabad, India, over a period of 8 years between 2012 and 20. Based on the location and extent of the corneal opacification, the corneal opacity can be categorized into the zone 1, which is a central island of corneal opacification within central 6 millimeter. Zone 2, central cornea with a peripheral cornea is involved. Zone 3A is a near total corneal opacification. Zone 3B, complete corneal opacification. This is a technique demonstrating selective endothelectomy. Step 1, severing the communication between iris and cornea. Step 2, identifying the actual defect. Third step, delicately removing the anomalous corneal endothelium without disturbing the integrity of Descemet's membrane. Step 4, checking the integrity of Descemet's membrane. There was no Descemet detachment at the end of surgery. Type 2 Peters anomaly, wherein additional lens aspiration along with sphincterotomy was considered in view of a large corneal opacity. The sequential picture collage of a milder variant of Peters anomaly, right and left eye of a same child, showing the postoperative corneal edema resolution with a scar remodeling as observed over 18 months period. In contrast to the top row, wherein had an extremely good outcome with a smaller zone of corneal involvement, the bottom two rows had a wider zone of corneal involvement that resulted in a suboptimal outcome following this intervention, which was observed over a period of 6 months' time. The sequential picture collage of severe Peter anomaly, top and bottom row showing a significant improvement in eyes with a smaller zone of corneal involvement compared to the middle two rows where corneal opacity is much larger along with a cataractous lens had a suboptimal outcome with a secondary glaucoma. Meaning even in a type 2 Peters abnormality with a smaller zone of corneal involvement can help achieve a good outcome. Primarily, our cohort included a type 1 abnormality. Median age at surgery was 7.2 months, and 85% had a discernible corneal clearance. So the 97% had ambulatory vision, and BCVA significantly improved owing to the resolution of the corneal opacification. On careful evaluation for the factors responsible for a SEPA failure, we found that one is severity of the disease, the zone of involvement, and additional intervention seems to be the important risk factor for the non-resolution of the corneal edema. 85% of the mild to moderate cases had a significant corneal clearing in comparison to the severe disease. The cornea tend to clear even beyond 12 months, so perhaps this may be related to the remodeling ability of the younger children. Over the last 3 decades, the literature primarily focused on anatomical success has shown a modest outcome, and only 20 to 60% of them achieved a 2400 or a better vision at a median follow-up of 4 years. The current study, where most cases have actually showed a significant improvement, and vision is continued to improve over a period of time. Our study validates the long-term outcome of SEPA. It's a novel, less invasive surgical strategy for the treatment of Peters. In 85% of the cases, opacity is significantly cleared with a marked improvement in the visual functions. We've also demonstrated to the best of our knowledge for the first time that SEPA can be used even in cases with a severe form of keratolenticule adhesion as long as the central corneal opacity no more than 7 millimeter, or at least half of the peripheral cornea has remained clear. The findings of our study questions the prevailing paradigm whether this procedure could be offered as a preferred surgical modality in every case of Peter anomaly, or only in a select cases where corneal opacity less than 7 millimeter, irrespective of the type of Peters anomaly. The long-term results are extremely promising, can be a very effective surgical alternative to penetrating keratoplasty, and this would benefit hundreds of children with Peters anomaly related corneal blindness worldwide. Thank you for your kind attention. Thanks, Aravind.
Thank you, Dr. Murli. SEPA indeed is a very promising technique and perhaps it is going to revolutionize pediatric corneal surgery. So thank you for sharing this very ingenious topic with us.
A couple of questions, Arvind. Can I just ask Murli? Do we have time?
Okay, Dr. Anand, we were actually planning to take the session questions at the end, but maybe a quick one before we go to the next.
Just a query, Murli. Nice, very nice. Two questions. One is with respect to surgical technique. When you're actually doing the aspiration, you're actually just sucking out with an IA. Am I correct?
You're right. Right.
So you're not using like a reverse Sinski to kind of take out any.
No, I'm not. I'm not doing a desmetorexis. No.
Okay. That is one. The second was when you're looking at when you said grade 2 and above, like Peters grade 2 and above, you probably all those patients would definitely require lens involvement. Yes. So those any specific reason why those patients did not actually do well, because you're treating at least one additional cause of visual performance being poor?
Yeah, extremely good question. If the area of corneal involvement more than 7 millimeter, then they don't do that well. So you may have to combine optical iridectomy. So I have title acronym like a SEPA, SEPO, SEPAL. So wherein you have an additional steps like lens aspiration or optical iridectomy, right? So yeah, in terms of comparing to the those which had a less than 7 millimeter, they had extremely good vision. Some of the children have improved to 20/40 vision, whereas a type 2 with larger than 7 millimeter, they have a pretty decent ambulatory vision, 2400 to 2800. So that was a meaning, the comparison between the type 1 and type 2. Yeah. Otherwise, if you look at, the penetrating keratoplasty outcome in a long run, so, we had only 22% success at the end of 2 years. And also, if you look in terms of functional success, they're extremely poor in a long run, considering the longevity of the child. So I think, this particular innovation actually works very well.
Dr. Manoranjan, please share your slides while the discussion is also going on. Yeah. So thank you, Dr. Anand, for this very pertinent questions and and also the very interesting developments that's happening in the pediatric corneal surgery. So thanks, Dr. Murli.